All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, we've got a great event going down on October the 22nd in London, Ontario at Budweiser Gardens. I'm talking PFC 14. It is a stacked card that really seems to be growing every couple days, in a fight that was certainly catching my attention, featuring Michael Guermoudi and Gordon Cunningham, and just had to get Gordon on the show to get some insights ahead of this one. How's all the training and everything leading into this one, man?
It's going well, man. It's going really well. And to be honest, just getting the opportunity to not do a fight camp during all the complications with COVID is pretty amazing. Actually, having a group of guys that I can use on a daily basis it's a whole lot different than having like maybe one or two key guys that you can use. Because frankly, we're kind of bending the rules there during COVID a little bit, right?
Yeah, well, it was such an arbitrary time in a lot of ways, man. Like, I mean, I felt like there'd be, like, new rules that would pop up every, like, couple days or whatever, and you're trying to follow the previous rules, and, yeah, it seemed very complicated from the fighter perspective, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was super tough, man. But, to say the least, this camp is going a lot smoother than my last one, so I'm super excited to get out there and get competing again, because it's been over a year now since I competed last, so definitely need to scratch that itch.
Yeah, I imagine you're quite excited about that too, and that would probably fit into the, getting out of the pandemic sort of thing, just with there being more events and more opportunities to get out there and fight, because, I mean, I would assume that you wanted to get out there sooner and compete, but yeah, probably excited and, chomping at the bit for this one, I'd think.
Yeah, absolutely, man. In the last year, I had 2 fights fall through with the BFL, so, you know what I mean? Like, everyone has those situations where they sign fights and something happens, whether it's on your end or your opponent's. But yeah, having 2 fights fall through in a year's time and not really being able to get active and really not having the opportunity to come out and kind of just get that loss back. You know what I mean? Like, me starting my professional career at 0-1 is not how I envisioned it. That's for sure. So that was a tough pill to swallow, so I'm super excited to get back out there and show the world that I'm definitely one of the best middleweights there are in Canada.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to touch on that almost, because, like, I'd be curious to hear the meaning behind this almost, or maybe reading too much into it potentially, but you mentioned, like, not thinking you'd start the career off on that foot per se. I was seeing the Instagram bio that said 0-1, and there was, like, the eye-rolling emoji, like...
Yeah, man. Well, obviously everyone knows I lost my pro debut in 2021. But, yeah, again, I'm not trying to make excuses, but that was not the most ideal situation for me to have gotten my pro debut. Like, I loved the matchup against Ivan Hirschuk back then, but it would have, I think it would have shown if I could have had a proper camp, not in COVID, and had the number of guys I have now to work with, right? Because especially, like, trying to prepare for a guy like Ivan Hirschuk, who's, like, the guy's nickname is the Savage for a reason. Like, the guy's an absolute, like, savage. That's the best word for him, right? And to have, like, training partners try and emulate that kind of style, like, it takes a certain kind of person, and, like, you can't really ask people to do that. No one can really emulate that kind of aggression and that kind of mentality, especially if you just ask them to, you know what I mean? Like, it takes a certain kind of person to fight the way that Ivan fights, and I just wasn't really able to recreate that in the sparring rooms.
Yeah, I would think you'd be excited for this fight then, just and as far as, like, being able to present, like, a, I guess, more clear, accurate representation of what your skills would be in, like, an ideal normative kind of camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, that being said, my opponent, Mike, like, I don't really know much about him. Like, he hasn't fought in 6 years, so, you know what I mean? Like, you can't assume that he hasn't been training for 6 years. Like, I'd like to think that he's been out there grinding the last 6 years, really trying to figure some stuff out to potentially be confident enough to come and have your pro debut after such a long layoff. So I'm not going to assume he hasn't been training. I'm going to, like, 6 years is a long time. You can get your black belt in 6 years if you try hard enough. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you never really know, I guess, because, like, I mean, I guess just the timing of this interview, like, they had that recent Unified show where, like, Stephen Beaumont came back after close to, like, almost, like, 4.5 years out, and, I mean, he seemed to show a certain level of skill set that would indicate he was getting that work in behind the scenes. So like in a game planning kind of sense, is it mostly just focusing on your own individual efforts? Because I would think with that kind of layoff, it'd be maybe hard to tape study for a guy because he could maybe come out a whole different fighter almost.
Yeah, and like honestly, I've always kind of had the mentality like I try my best not to study my opponents too much, because then I feel like you kind of think too much about what they're gonna do as opposed to kind of concentrating on what you're going in there trying to do, like implementing your game plan as opposed to worrying about what they're gonna bring in as a game plan, right? Like
Yeah.
Like, and even in my last fight, that showed. Like I was trying to prepare too much on what exactly I thought Ivan was gonna do as opposed to what I should have been doing myself to really like take control of the fight and fight at my pace. And like it's that the momentum is a big thing when it comes to fighting, you know what I mean? So to get that momentum early and then carry it through the fight, that's super important. I wasn't able to get that done in my last one, so I'm excited to go out there and fight now. I know I can fight, you know what I mean? Because as much as my last fight, it was super entertaining, it was a great fight back and forth, but still, man, like that W at the end of the day is what you're really looking for, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And you were talking about some of the guys you've been able to work with lately. It seems like you're out of Adrenaline MMA there. Like, who at Adrenaline are you getting in that work with ahead of this particular fight?
Specifically, like one of my number one guys to work with is a guy named Tanner Freifogel. He used to compete in the amateur scene, and honestly, this kid is one of the most talented guys you could ever meet. Like, he's one of those guys you can take so much from him. Like, he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, for example, one of the most talented strikers I've ever met. I actually owe it a lot. Like, I owe a lot of my success to him specifically because he's always been there working for me. Like, whenever I have a camp, he's one of the main guys to be there, like taking time off work and taking his lumps to help me out, right? So him, we got Tommy Theo.
Oh yeah,
who's just coming off 2 huge wins. Sammy Stout, of course. A little bit with Mark Hominick. We got just a wealth of guys at Adrenaline. And not only that, we got there's so many talented guys in London that I've kind of started picking at a little bit here and there. So as much as I'd like to say that obviously I'll always be representing Adrenaline, but I'm starting to take advantage of some of the other talent that we have here in London to offer.
Well, I think that's a great thing, man, because, like, I mean, this was, like, many moons ago at this point, but, like, I felt like when I first started watching, like, MMA and, like, I guess, like, 2004-ish kind of thing, it would almost seem, like, taboo to cross-train at the different gyms, but that culture very much doesn't seem like it's a thing nowadays. Like, people do have their core places they rep and, like, mostly get in work at, but it's not like this, like, forbidden taboo thing to go to another gym to learn skills.
Yeah, no, and, like, honestly, it's come to the point where, like, we only have so many high-level guys in Ontario, right? Especially in, like, the bigger weight classes, like middleweight, which I usually fight at. But, yeah, we don't really have it. We're not really in that mindset that we're just going to, like, avoid all the guys in our weight class. Like, that just makes no sense to me, right? Like earlier in the pandemic, like, for example, Aaron Jeffries, he's, like, one of my favorite guys I can possibly think of to get rounds with, just because he's just a high level guy everywhere and he makes the rounds harder than the fights. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just that grueling wrestling mentality just puts you up against the fence and makes you just pay. So having guys like that I can shout up every once in a while and get some sparring with them, it's really taken me to the next level.
Yeah, and it was cool you mentioned Tommy Theo a little bit ago there. I saw you guys had that picture a while back when you had, like, your PFC light heavyweight championship belt, the kickboxing hardware there and everything. He seems like a guy that's been, like, not even just, like, a big training partner, but just, like, a huge person in your life and everything like that, just really getting you out of dark places and shaping your overall growth, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's no secret what Tommy's gone through in the last few years, so to have a guy go through so much and still be in the gym grinding and, like, knocking on my door, waking me up to drag me out to train and stuff, like, Tommy Theo is a really special person, and I can't thank him enough for how much he's done for me in the past and still continues to do for me now.
Yeah, and those dynamics really seem to, I guess, like, resonate through really the London MMA scene in general. Like, it seems like you've got good bonds with, like, Sam Stout and Jesse Ronson and Mark Hominick, Chris Horodesky. I mean, just, such great names in the space, and London has obviously played such a big role in the growth of Canadian MMA. So must be just invaluable, kind of being interwoven into all of that, just like the broader London kind of scene.
Yeah, and like obviously there's some added pressure that comes with that, like representing adrenaline. But yeah, honestly, just like I felt there was a little while there where I was starting to take that for granted. You know what I mean? Like I know a lot of people go through their plateaus in training where they start to wake up in the morning and tell themselves like, oh, like I have to go train, like I have to go do this, have to do that. But when in the reality is, man, like I'm so blessed, and like I gotta just change my vocabulary in the sense of like I don't have to go do these things. I get the opportunity to go train with some of the best guys in the country and arguably the world. You know what I mean? Like I get to go spend time in the gym doing the sport that I love so much. Like I was just taking it for granted, and just kind of having that switch in your brain that you can kind of flick back on, just light that fire, right? Because I feel like a lot of people have that issue, and kind of just coming to terms with it, asking yourself how bad you really want it and what you're willing to do it.
Yeah, it seems like there's a strong like gratitude kind of mindset there. And I mean, fair enough. I feel like that's very natural. I feel like humans get into certain periods where, you got to like see where you're at and maybe like, look at the bigger picture. Like you said, it's like you get to do it as opposed to I have to do it. But, just talking about, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, like anyone that has the opportunity to step in an adrenaline training center and like really take it like with a full swing, you know what I mean? Like it's changed so many people's lives around me, and like just seeing what just the sport and martial arts can do for people. I don't think I could have found a better sport in my life to potentially put as much time as I have into, and it's really starting to play back, man. Especially like when it comes to like teaching aspects. Like that's one thing that I never really thought I would fall in love with doing as much as I did, was just being an instructor at Adrenaline and getting the opportunity to teach some of these younger kids and just watch the fire light in these like young athletes' eyes. It's like it's life-changing stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would think you would see some level of your own journey and like what they're trying to do, and just, I mean, you're looking at your, different career moments and stuff like that. Like I saw you had that picture after you won the MFL gold, like your last amateur fight, and there's like the forest backdrop, and you're like, oh, this is my, favorite fight photo. I would think that you would want to like impart something into them to kind of like set them off on their own journey. Like you see a bit of, like what brought you to the dance there in a sense.
Yeah, man, and that's what's so great. Like even like for example, this past weekend, one of the guys that I train, Daniel Scudda rather, he went up to MFL and he got his first amateur win in the 205 division, which is the division that I had the belt at. So to see these guys take what I have to show them and go out and be successful, it's very heartwarming to say the least. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, you love to see it, man. I mean, that's really what it's all about, for sure. But this fight kind of is a curious one, in a sense, and I'd be interested to get your perspective on it, because, like, you're very, familiarized with competing under the Prospect banner, this being your fourth fight for PFC, but, it's going to be the first one in mixed martial arts, specifically. Does this feel like a familiarized kind of experience, almost, or just with it being the first in MMA under the PFC banner, maybe a bit of a different vibe, almost?
It's definitely familiar. I would say just because obviously just dealing with all the same guys under the organization, they've always done their absolute best to treat us London guys with nothing but respect, and they do the best. They put on the best shows, man. Like Jamie Champion, he's I would consider him the best promoter I've ever worked with, and just having the opportunity to go out and fight in front of the London fans again, dude. Like it's been a long time since I've been able to have the opportunity to do that. Because my last fight was out west, and besides that, it was just a matter of going up to Montreal and stuff, right? So really having the London crowd behind me to just light that fire in me a little bit more, it's going to be a pretty special thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. The London shows are always a fire up, and like I was talking about before, such a rich, MMA city in our, country's history with the sport. And it's also cool that it's going to a worthwhile cause, just the knockout kidney disease component and all.
Yeah, and like sometimes I almost forget that this event is for a charity because it's just so huge and so many people follow it, and like just like on top of the fact that it's for a good cause, like that just makes it that much better, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and yeah, going to be a great time. It's been far too long for me since I've been to one of these events there. I went to the knockout event in November 2019, I believe it was, or September 2019 actually, and yeah, just such a great time, and really looking forward to this next one here. And I'm kind of curious for you because you've been competing a little bit, whereby there's a lot of the fans that aren't able to come out and be present. And I saw you had a post around when you had that War of Gods 2 victory where you were very happy to have family come out and see you compete for the first time. Are you especially fired up for this next one here, just with people getting back to it and some fam can come out and see what you do?
Yeah, like, well, obviously it's exciting to get back in front of the London fans, you know what I mean? Like, especially at such a big venue like Budweiser Garden. Like, I remember when I first started in the sport, like just kickboxing, I was just doing like a job there behind, like doing some moving shit behind the scenes in Budweiser Garden. And I remember kind of like walking through the tunnel and envisioning myself fighting there, and kind of just, it was like a little pipe dream here. But then, it came to fruition. So for that to happen, like, it just seems like it's kind of meant to be, you know what I mean? Like, for me to take my first loss as a professional and then have an opportunity to kind of get back in the winning column, but in front of the London fans, like, it's going to be a special night, I think. And not only that, this is going to be the first time in, I think, 4 fights that my mom will be able to watch me fight live again. So that'll be special.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of really, cool components to this fight for sure, which is why I wanted to have you on the show to talk about it a bit. Definitely a compelling fight coming up on October 22nd there. But you've been really good with your time, Gordon, and I definitely appreciate it, man. But again, like I was kind of saying earlier, definitely want to, be mindful of your schedule. I imagine you're busy heading into this. So to that point, is there maybe anything you want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up?
Not really. All I gotta do is thank Mike for accepting the fight, and I wish him the rest of a healthy training camp. And I would advise the fans not to blink when it comes to October 22nd. I got a hunch that Mike's going to be coming in there to take my head off, and I can say the same for him. So.
Yeah, I love it. This is going to be a great fight at PFC 14, and people in the London, Ontario area can grab their tickets over at pfctix.com. Going to be a great event there at Budweiser Gardens. Such a great venue, as you said. And yeah, thanks so much again, to reiterate, for coming on the show, Gordon. Gonna be excited to see the fight in person when it goes down there. But until then, you just have a good rest of your day there, man.
All right, appreciate it a lot, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, in this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be chatting with an individual who's set to compete at Budweiser Gardens, and that goes down October 22nd as part of PFC 14. Going to be a great fight. Gordon Cunningham getting in there into the cage and taking on Michael Guermoudi, and happy to be talking to Michael a little bit before the big fight here. How's your day going so far there, man?
Hey, no complaints. Got up with the family, did my run on the treadmill, and I'm at the gym waiting to start my training for the next few hours.
Yeah, and I mean, the professional debut, I feel like this would be a big one just in the personal martial arts kind of journey there. Can you speak to the importance of this moment, just getting ready to make the pro debut there?
It's going to be a big one for me personally. It's been a long time coming. It should have been done many years ago, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I wasn't able to do it. Just timing-wise and everything like that. So now that I'm finally able to get back in there, especially after COVID and a long time off, it's an important one to make a statement coming out this time and showing the world what we got to do.
Yeah, and what were some of those factors that kind of contributed to that hiatus there? Because it seems like you had some amateur bouts, like more like 2016 and everything like that. Like, what, I guess, kind of led to that sort of pronounced hiatus after being active through 2016 and 2010 and things like that?
It was a medical issue. There's suspicion of a brain tumor, to be honest. So there's medical issue there. So by the time getting that all cleared up and taking all the proper steps and precautions to make sure that there are no issues with the brain was priority. And obviously all those things take some time. So that was the biggest factor of the time off. And then obviously COVID hit, so that added a couple of years to everything.
Well, glad to hear you've gotten a handle on that and seem to be doing a lot better. I would think that would give you just like a new lease on life, even something beyond just like MMA competition. Like I would think that would be like a humbling, kind of like almost like life affirming sort of thing to go through there.
Yeah, it was a big shock after the one MRI, even though I've had many over the years. And it was always, so everybody always said it was just scar tissues, an old injury from when I was a child. And then all of a sudden one year they're like, hey, you got a brain tumor, you got to slow down here. So it was a bit of an eye-opener. And, yeah, of course, you got to take it one day at a time. And at that point, with having a couple kids and everything, you got to put your priorities straight and figure out what you want to do and how you're going to do it and do the things you got to do to get to the point where you want to be. And fortunately, in my case, and that's bringing us to October 22nd.
Yeah, and is there a certain sense of familiarity, just it being under the PFC banner and you, like, being part of that in a lineal kind of sense, like having previously fought under the same, like, legacy kind of promotion there? Like, do you feel that certain level of, comfortability or familiarity almost fighting for them again?
Oh, yeah, big time. Jamie and all the guys from Prospect, they've always been good to us, and, they've always treated everybody from Dogtown MMA like family. So to get the call up from Jamie after all my medical got cleared and everything, seeing if I was willing to come back to Prospect, I instantly said yes, of course, and been training and getting ready for it ever since.
Yeah, and Dog Pound MMA seems like it's been like a big part of just like you honing your skills over the years. Like it seems like that's been like the primary space for quite a while now. So like, can you speak to the importance of having that in your life? Just like that kind of like foundational sort of element where you're developing the new skills, but there's that strong sense of community and just everything like that.
Yeah, it became more of a family relation with Master Mignon at Dog Pound MMA. He treats every student here like his own family, but over the last 14 years with him, we've developed a special relation, and just with sharpening my skills and everything, he takes a personal time with one-on-one with me to make sure that everything's up to par, that there's going to be no mistakes, no injuries. He takes his time, so even if I'm not feeling the greatest that day, we'll change what we're working on just to make sure that anything and everything possible is going to be there. So having the same coach in my corner for the last 14 years, it's a feeling that it's almost unspeakable. Like words can't even describe how I feel having the same coach in my corner, and just the personal attention that I get from everybody at Dogtown MMA it's unspeakable. It's just unimaginable the way they treat you.
Well, I love hearing that, and it seems to inspire a certain level of, preparedness and gameness, and I say that in the context of I'd seen a previous article where, like, at one point you weren't even scheduled for a fight on a previous, like, Woodbridge kickboxing card, and then you're like, oh, yeah, I'll take that, and you got, like, 1 hour notice, and you ended up coming out of it with, championship there, the WKF title there, so yeah, it definitely seems like it breeds a game sort of constantly prepared kind of attitude.
Yeah, that was an interesting night. I went to help coach and, just kind of support some of the guys from the gym. And we ended up going out for dinner at, I think it was Jack Astor's. And I just finished dinner. We were just paying the bill. And we got a call asking for a heavyweight. So I jumped in there last minute. But yeah, that was a good night. But it's one of those things, if I didn't have the coaching that I had, I probably wouldn't have been comfortable enough to take that fight last minute.
Yeah, it seemed like a good night overall, too. It looked like Manny and Sean got victories in their respective bouts, so it seemed like a good night for the team.
Yeah, oh yeah. They normally do pretty good when they go to competition, so...
Yeah, I would think that would create like a compounding sort of excitement, though, and everything like that, like as much as combat sports as an individual sport in the competitive framework. I mean, definitely takes a team to, get everybody there for their respective fights and whatnot. So probably cool to see everyone succeeding in their, given bouts. Probably creates a, sense of momentum and camaraderie and all.
Yeah, of course. And at the gym, we take pride on, we use each other to make each other better, right? And we train as a team. We have each other's back all the time. As I said, even when we're working together, the guys use me to make them better. I use them to make me better. So when we go into a competition and we all seem to come out on top, it's a victory for all of us.
Yeah, and
the guys that weren't competing that night, it's a victory for them as well because they're behind the scenes helping us get better.
Yeah, you gotta love that in a team for sure. So essential for sure. But I mean, speaking to high quality teams, Adrenaline MMA certainly within that, and your opponent getting in some good work out of that space there. Like, how does it feel to kind of be like the away player in a sense? Like, just I mean, he's going to be getting like a certain level of partisan presence. Not to say that you'll be booed or anything like that, but like, does that embolden the performance at all? Do you almost prefer being the away player in a certain sense, or do you not even really look at it in those kind of terms as much?
To be honest, I've been on both sides. I've flown out to BC for competitions. I've been across Canada, and at the end of the day, you're there to compete. Everybody trains to win. So being the away or the home guy doesn't make a difference in that sense. I'm going to have a strong support, a strong following me out to London on the 22nd anyways. So even though I'm the away guy, I'm not going to feel like it with the amount of support I'm going to have. So.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like a classy enough kind of crowd, just in the sense of like, appreciating anyone who would compete in the sport, but also that it's like a charity-minded event. Like, I think all these events are cool in that regard, like the tradition of the knockout kidney disease events and everything like that. Like, how do you feel being part of an event that's also going to like such a, charitable, altruistic kind of effort?
I feel real great about it. I'm actually really happy that that's the event that I get to make my comeback in, and especially the pro debut. Any cause, go to any sort of charity. I'm a big fan of. My dad's been battling cancer since '92, so anything that goes along those sorts, I'm just happy to be a part of it in any way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, always good when a positive cause can be attached to it, but just in regards to the specifics of your opponent here, like, are you generally someone who like tries to find whatever tape you can on your given opponents, or are you more focusing on just your own individual refinement so you can be more like fluid and adaptable to whatever they happen to show on fight night?
I'm more concerned on my own personal movements and mobility right now. I always find that by watching video and requesting video of an opponent and everything, just because somebody does something 9 out of 10 times in a fight, you don't want to let that get to your head, because on the day that you get in the cage or in the ring with that particular person, they might not go to their go-to move, and then he spent all this time worrying and training on how to counter something or how to react to something they do on habit, that all of a sudden now they're training to fight you and they don't do it anymore. So sometimes I find with watching video and trying to study an opponent, it might backfire on you, because he might be so prepared for a certain thing, then that thing never comes, that you have to adapt anyway. So I'd rather just focus on myself and fight the fight the way it comes to me.
Yeah, for sure. Just, I mean, similar kind of like experiences both of you guys have had in a certain sense. Just, I mean, he collected that, PFC amateur kickboxing title and was an MFL champion in MMA. So yeah, it seems like the striking acumen is definitely there, and on paper it seems like a lot of people are looking at this as like a really, high octane, exciting kind of fight. Are you entering this fight with the same kind of expectation? Like, obviously you're going to be, tactical and have a level of fight IQ at play for sure, but is there that certain perception you have going into this, like this is going to be like a real like barn burner, explosive kind of affair, as it were?
To be honest, that's what I'm hearing it's going to be, and if that's what it comes down to, then I'm ready for it. Obviously, every fight starts on its feet, so you're obviously going to start with striking and everything. And if we get in the clinch and the fight goes to the ground, I'm more prepared for that. If we end up on our feet the whole time, I have no problem standing there banging it out with a guy. So any way the fight turns for me, I'm prepared for.
Yeah, so there's like no particular part of your game you're looking to show in this. Like, you're not like necessarily looking to show off the grappling any more than the striking, just wanting to show like the complete well-roundedness of the skill set.
Yeah, from the stand up to the ground, I'm ready. So it's just let's get in there and then put on a good show for everybody. And as I said, every fighter fights to win. And October 22nd is going to be my night. Yeah,
it's a very exciting fight in a lot of regards, for sure. But something I wanted to get the backstory on because I'm always kind of curious about like nicknames and stuff like that. I saw your nickname was the Mad Scientist via Tapology. Like, what was the, I guess, origin of that whole story and the nickname and all?
That goes back about 15 years, roughly now. It's when I first met everyone over at Dogtown MMA. I came from a little bit of a judo background in my younger days and through my teen years. And met Master Mignon, and he was starting with the striking with me. They wanted to see what I was capable of before, talking about putting me in any MMA bouts. We went to a jiu-jitsu tournament that they put me into, and I came straight from work. I had longer hair, I had my work boots on, and I just looked like a bag of crap. and I caught a guy in a triangle choke. And one of Donnie's partners back in the day, Brendan, I guess he turned around and was making a comment about how I fight with the science. And one of the other spectators turned around and said something about how I looked mad. So when I finished the bout, I won the tournament. I walked out and everyone started calling me the Mad Scientist, and the name just kind of stuck.
Yeah, I like that. That's a fun one for sure, and everything like that. And yeah, I mean, I love the backstories on the nickname, so appreciate you giving that for sure. But I was kind of doing a little bit of backgrounding on you, and it seems like you're a bit of a motorcycle enthusiast. You're really into, like, what do you, I guess, immerse yourself in outside of like martial arts and everything?
My brother and I, we're pretty big on collecting motorcycles together. We do, in the winter, we do quite a bit of ice racing on the dirt bikes. We got a CR500 that's all studded up and a couple CR250s. So that's kind of a winter hobby that we do. It's not professional or anything. It's just more of we plow a track on the lake and go for it. And that, I'm big into hunting and motorcycles, dirt bikes. Just your typical guy stuff. Nothing too extreme.
No, a good way to unwind, though, for sure. Some fun activities all throughout there, for sure, man. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show and giving some, great insights ahead of this fight here. Should be an exciting one for sure. But I do want to be mindful of the rest of the schedule you have today and everything too, Michael. So to that point, is there anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here, man?
I'll just finish it off with, keep an eye for my bout on October 22nd. I can promise it's going to be a good one, start to finish. No matter who comes out on top, it's going to be a good fight to watch. And as I keep stressing, every fighter trains to win, and that's something that I must do on October 22nd. So keep an eye out for us, and hopefully get to chat with you again.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I'll be there at the event checking out the fight, so definitely something I'm excited for as the event looms closer, and for people in the London, Ontario area wanting to purchase tickets for PFC 14 and be part of such a great event, pfctix.com, tix.com would be the place to go for sure. But to reiterate, I appreciate you coming on the show and giving great insights, Michael. You enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, looking forward to checking out the fight when it goes down there, man.
All right, sounds awesome. Thanks again.